Hey guys, welcome to a new video. There are some cool changes on the PBE for next patch and some stuff I've stalked for future from some rioters. So I thought we could go over them today. I really want to know what you guys think about this LeBlanc change, like the mini rework update Riot are looking at, or if they should just kind of leave her alone as she is now. So let me know in the comments. Also, by the way, there is a $500 RP giveaway in the comments of this video with a bunch of other YouTubers. So if you fancy entering, it's really easy. There's a link down below and it ends later this week. So the first thing is we're actually going to see a new champion next, then the Urgot rework, then another new champion, and then the Evelyn rework. Also, we have some first info that it's not going to be an AD carry, and it's very unlikely to be played in support role either. So that means the new champion is most likely going to be a carry bruiser top lane, an assassin, or a carry mid laner. Also with the LeBlanc update, so this isn't right now. I found it from Medler, who is one of the lead developers for League. Basically, they think she is a problem champion, and actually have said in here, we need to do a small update at least. It's not just balance work. She's already been reworked, remember, in the Mage update, so I'm not exactly sure another one is going to work really. This is apparently going to focus on 3 problems though. So how safe she is at the moment, like she doesn't conform to the usual assassins, right, who have to dive into a fight and use their long cooldowns to kill somebody. Also, she's got very little counterplay, her clone and her W's and stuff, and she's too strong in the laner phase, so she's like extra dominant on a good player who can do well early and then transition into a really good mid game. There are a few more hints though hidden in different threads that I found as well. So the riskier part means you being close to a target for a meaningful period of time to kill them. If they keep her as an assassin, she'd have higher cooldowns that are required if you want to burst somebody, but you have to be closer to do it. Medler also says that he does actually want to keep her as an assassin, like a Fizz or Zed kind of type, but she may have to move to a burst mage to keep her kit. Basically, her current kit wouldn't really work as an assassin, so they'd have to change a lot. Basically aimed at her W, like getting a complete rework, or it's going to stay the same, similar mobility wise, but longer cooldown or much less damage in her kit overall. We're either looking at like a Heimerdinger / Kindred level where they keep the same abilities but readjust everything, or a Rek'Sai level where they change her actual abilities. We're likely going to find out a bit more soon. This is not for this patch and it is still being worked on at the moment, but I thought it was kind of cool to go over at least just to see what they're actually going to do with LeBlanc. He does also talk about a few AD carry changes that will be coming soon as well. So Jhin is first, most likely getting a Q buff with more AD ratio and giving his ultimate a bit more base damage, so better into the early stages of the game. So finally he's getting a bit of love. Xayah nerfs are also incoming soon, either this patch or the next one. They're going to nerf her W attack speed or her ability to auto cancel with her Q. They're the most likely targets anyway. But now we're moving on to the actual changes we're very likely to see next patch. The only main AD carry change here is to Doran's shield, and it's just a price increase. It's not really a surprise really either. I honestly think there is no reason to get a Doran's blade over Doran's shield unless you really want to go aggressive. Right now it's that good. This probably balances it out more than anything else. People are like, oh, this is such a harsh nerf and stuff, but it's really not. Like, it's broken right now. The regen is more than enough to keep you in the lane phase. I almost never use both my potions before I base the first time anyway, so I actually think it's pretty fair. Moving on to the top lane, there are some actual bigger changes. Rumble's the first one. The passive decay now starts at 4 seconds, not 3, and that decay is changed to 10 every 1 second, which is actually half. Your Q damage to minions is down 25% as well. Like, your cooldown is going to be up. The base damage is up a bit early. Your W duration has actually also been decreased. Your passive is definitely better, right? Easier to manage and stuff. Your Q does more damage, but you can't spam it as much, and your W is going to be a bit worse. It's not that bad really, but people just do not play Rumble until like high reload, or not very well at least anyway. To be fair, he has some good matchups right now, and this might be good for the 1 or 2 Rumble players watching this video, but apart from that, I'm not really sure it makes a massive difference. Camille's got a kind of nice change, but do you remember the last time you saw a Camille actually? Like, no joke, she went from being banned all of the time, right, to not even existing. Apparently she's picked in 2% of games at the moment, and that's not likely to change, I don't think, but if she gets ahead, she can actually still be a beast apparently, so there is at least that, I guess. I'm more excited for this one, but sadly it's actually not on the PBE anymore. So Rito said is coming back this patch or next patch, but I thought it'd be pretty cool. Singed buffs as an AD carry main are not the thing I look forward to the most, honestly, like especially not because you do a lot more damage with these as well. Your Q damage is actually down, but the AP ratio is up. Your E has a lower base damage but has an AP ratio now on it, so 2% extra HP damage for 100 AP you have. Your ultimate mana cost was down. It gave you more stats, but also made your Q cloud duration last twice as long when it was active. So basically the big thing with this was they actually wanted you to play a proper champion, not like this annoying tank version, and kind of play more of an AP version. The E, the flip, could do like a 12% HP damage now with this change. Like, imagine if you were split pushing versus a tank. Surely that's just crazy damage. Your Q lasting twice twice as long would be irritating as balls. Plus, it'd do more damage with the AP ratio now as well, which kind of explains the base damage decrease. I'm pretty sure this will make Singe really good again, give him a reason to build more AP and actually be a damage kind of threat instead of just this annoying tank that runs around. What do you guys think? The award for the strangest change this patch goes to mid lane. It actually is Corki. So let's get him to build AD carry items, build crit, but 75% of those basic attack damage will be magic instead. In fairness, it looks really weird, but for mid game, this is kind of nice actually. You build armor and he's going to avoid it. You build magic resist and your crits and AD would avoid that side instead. I guess as well, being more AP focused means you can actually get avoid stuff and at least kind of be relevant late game. One of the worst things is you do AD and magic, right? But you cannot buy a last whisper and avoid stuff. So if they get both magic resist and armor late game, you'll pretty much bone. The more I talk about this, the more I'm thinking, actually, maybe this isn't that bad after all, but it looks like the most random thing ever down on paper. So the only jungle change so far is to Ivan, and he's getting another nerf. What a surprise. I honestly bet you guys, they slowly nerf him a little bit more every patch until he's garbage. Just you wait. 50 damage off the thing you max first actually sucks. So he's turning more and more into like a shield support in the jungle, basically. At least that is why he's kind of good, right? So it's not that bad, but you're relying even more on your team now. So if you play this at lower ranks, you're probably asking for a lot of trouble. Speaking of supports, actually, Karma's getting a few nerfs as well to her shield. When you're reading this on screen, I bet you didn't even know this is how a shield worked with the ultimate, honestly. Like, yeah, you speed everybody up, but you actually shield everybody except your main target for less. Most Karma players shield themselves to hit everybody around them, but actually, that's a really bad idea. It will mean in a team fight, 80% less shield, so actually, that's a pretty decent nerf, even if it doesn't seem like it. Even though they won't really realize it, it'll be even worse on bad Karma players who don't cast on their priority target anyway, just activate it on themselves. Now, moving on to Rakan, however you say it. First of all, I think there are actually going to be a few buffs for him coming his way this next few patches. This is a nice start, but it would be better if you weren't going to max this first, to be honest, because this is going to go down to the same at rank 5. It makes his early levels a little bit better at least, which is nice, but it's not going to be a massive impact. There are actually a lot of item changes this patch, so we're going to go over those very quickly, and the first one is to Doran's ring, so it's not just Doran's shield that is getting a change. This is not that bad. You still get the health, the AP, the base mana regen, they're all going to stack, but the full mana back per CS doesn't anymore. I guess this is actually mostly aimed at tanks. I'm not too sure, but most mid laners do not really stack these, right? They get mana regen from other items as well, so it's not really a big deal, but top laners like Galio and stuff do not get mana regen items, and we're stacking this for more poke and damage early into a game. It seems like a nerf to mid lane at first glance, but I actually don't think so. I think this is nerfing tanks in the top lane. Now, Abyssal Mask, so basically Abyssal Scepter, which they renamed, is 100 gold more. The magic resist is down, but it now builds from a Cassis and a Negatron cloak. The reason that's important is because that now gives you 300 mana and the passive that comes along with it. So 15% of your damage taken from champions is gained as mana, and 20% of your mana spent is restored as health. You still have the 10% more magic damage as well. So in theory, this should make this item a lot better, I think. You're not losing that much, but you're gaining a lot more. And I think like Galio, Nautilus, right? I'm actually trying to think of other AP champions top lane who would use it. Maybe Swain, I guess, but Malphite, Gragas, definitely actually. It's only really a buff to these select few champions that can use the synergy properly on the item, but on them, it is really good. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to see this as a first item, but I kind of think so. Like health, mana, magic resist, cooldown reduction, more magic damage, and mana and health regen. That is insanely good. All of that as a first item, right, in the lane phase, unless you're against an AD bruiser. It doesn't give you any armor. To be fair, with how broken Ninja Tabby are, maybe you can get this item, the mask, and also just get Tabby to kind of go against the AD. Who knows? We're also getting a Zeke's Rework. We talked about this a little bit the other day, but it's a really good item now to pair up with any AD carry, not just crit base. If you give me 50% bonus damage in a fight for 10 seconds, I'm legit in heaven. You got to remember as well, it's also AoE damage if you focus the same target, like 450 over the duration. That's a lot of damage for a tank support to do, and per person as well. One of the other big things, which we haven't talked about, is the slow. So you get more damage as an AD, which is really, really good. That's the main part of it, obviously. But you also get to kite that person much easier with the 40% slow, right? You do more, but you're going to take less because you can kite easier. Isn't that like a perfect item for an AD? Especially, by the way, with this, I think. Knight's Vow is a really good item right now, but people aren't really using it as much. They haven't really realized how good it is. So it's getting 10% cooldown reduction instead of health regen, and I would definitely take that. Cooldown reduction is like gold dust to a tank. Pair it up with a Zeke's, for example, and that's 20% now, plus a lot of good stats to tank with while boosting your AD carries damage and protecting them. It would not surprise me at all if we see way more of this item next patch. Actually, I'd be surprised if we don't see way more of this item pairing together. So the first real nerf to an item, I guess, is this Locket, but actually I think it's overall buff if you use it properly on a tank. So Locket is being rushed by like literally everybody, right, on supports at the moment, even low health mages. And if you think about it, a 600 shield when you only have 1500 health is pretty big, right? That's a third of your health total. It's not as good though if you're a tank support who has 2500 health already, if that makes sense. I know it's like a personal benefit, but just thinking about it like that way, it doesn't make sense to rush as much. Now they're trying to say, okay, if you buy tank support items and get Locket, it's going to be better. It's a buff to like Braum and Tahm Kench Thresh probably. We're going to see them come back a lot more, I think, in 7.12 than just the meta shields and heals. This is actually kind of like the opposite though. So they're making redemption better on the mages who stack sensor and stuff as well, as if they needed a buff actually. As a first item, it's nowhere near as good anymore, okay? If you don't take wind speakers as your keystone, it's nowhere near as good either. You can't just throw this on a Braum or a Thresh and be like, why not? It's an overpowered item and I can build tank afterwards. It doesn't work like that anymore. Like, you have to kind of have wind speakers and sensor. That makes it much better. Add in a crucible after and it's even better. It scales up really well into the game and you're healing for an absolute crap ton in teamfights late game. I actually mean that, by the way. I'm not looking forward to this, to be honest, as a damage threat. Like, redemption could do like a 1000 heal per person in a fight now. Surely that is a massive buff to Karma, Lulu, Nami, Sona, Janna, and champions like that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think the Singe change is actually going to be the biggest one if it does come back for this patch or next patch, but let me know what you think. Thank you for watching though, and for now I'll leave you with the robots.
All the robots.